Well, the president spoke at the White House last night where he called for a massive economic relief bill, Sean, and it was against the Republicans' more limited approach that we've seen from them. Take a listen to what he said.
Do you support the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal that was put forward? Are you comfortable with the $500 billion for the states?
Something like that. Yeah, I like the larger amount. I've said that. You know, some of the Republicans disagree, but I think I can convince them to go along with that because I like the larger number. I want to see people get money. I want to see it wasn't their fault that this happened.
Wow. Well, joining us now to discuss this is host of Trish Intel, Trish Regan. Trish, welcome back to the show.
Good to see you, Lyndsay.
All right, this is an interesting situation. We know what's been happening with Nancy Pelosi and this kind of stalemate for the stimulus bill, but her own caucus wasn't even happy with her. She's almost backed into a corner there. It feels like Trump almost passing her a lifeline here.
Listen, if there's one thing that Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump can agree on, it's I think spending money. I mean, look, I like the president and his policies for certain attributes, but when it comes to spending taxpayer money that we don't have, I think that we need to hit the pause button. And so I understand where a lot of the Republicans are coming from. And don't forget, Lyndsay, Sean, you know what? We're actually doing pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at unemployment now, 8.4%. I mean,
numbers
that's
are
pretty
going up
good.
every day. Well, that's the crazy thing, right, Trish? It's what position does this put Republicans in? Because they've been so strong that they don't want it over much more than $1 trillion. Obviously, we know the $3.4 trillion that Nancy Pelosi wanted, but they either say, yeah, we're going to give more money, or disagree with the president.
Yeah, it puts them in a really tricky spot. Listen, I mean, I think he's looking for the near-term boost, and any kind of stimulus, whether it comes from the Fed, whether it comes from the federal government, is going to help in the near term. I question the long-term implications of it, right? Because this is money we just don't really have. So you only spend it if you really need it, which means, you know, if you're able-bodied and you can be working and you don't suffer from pre-existing conditions, then you got to question whether or not you should really be getting a $600 or $400 check from the government every single week. That said, you need the government in certain spots in certain times. And I think the president is very much of the opinion that if we're going to really get over this hump, then we need that extra flotation device, if you would.
Trish, what blows me away about Washington is that I'm all for helping people. This is a novel virus. The president was right. No one asked for this. This is, you know, there are a lot of people who want to be going back to work. But here's the problem with Washington. They pick a number out of the thin air. 1 billion. No. It's 3 billion. It's not like they said, okay, Trish needs 300, Lyndsay needs 300, Sean needs 300, so we should do $900. They literally pick a number out of thin air. We're trading between $1 billion and $3 trillion. I mean, excuse me, $1 trillion and $3 trillion. And nobody's done the math to say, this is how many people are hurting. This is what we need to do. They literally are just printing it, pumping it out at China's delight.
Well, look, bingo, you hit the nail on the head when you said that nobody knows how to do any math, because they really don't. And so whether it's $1 trillion, whether it's $3 trillion, I don't think that people really in Congress have a good concept of what those numbers actually mean. And the reality that you're going to at some point have to pay that money back or else. So look, I get that the president wants to do everything he can to help everyone right now, but I'm so frustrated with what we did, because this is so self-inflicted, right? I mean, Attorney General Barr said it pretty well just last night when he came down hard on this idea of a lockdown really being the biggest infringement on our rights, because, you know, people deserve the opportunity to go out and earn a living and take care of themselves and their family, and they were deprived of that. And you know what? We're going to pay the price.
Yeah,
we really are. Our economy is going to struggle. We're going to need to probably give more stimulus than any pragmatist would like to see, and that's just the reality, because we did this.
Trish, Joe Biden took a shot at President Trump during this military roundtable, talking about where the president's focus is. Let me play it for you.
The president has focused on the reason why the COVID crisis has been so bad. He has focused only on making sure the stock market stays up and to make sure it doesn't decline, because then it looks bad and the economy begins to droop for the very people that he most represents.
right, so Trish, let me just play into your wheelhouse here in terms of being a financial expert. If you're out there, if you're an American that's hurting right now, is the stock market the best indice of how you're doing? Is that what the president should be focused on, is whether or not the NASDAQ or the Dow is rising?
No, well, here's what I would say. It makes everybody feel good, right, when the market's going up, because that's a barometer, and it makes people feel pretty confident, right, when they see that going higher, higher, higher. There are a lot of people that are invested, whether they even realize it or not, through their pension plans. Of course, 401ks are heavily invested in the markets, and so there is a psychological element. That said, here's the reality, Sean. I mean, the market is actually trying to anticipate what it sees way out in the future. And I'll tell you what the market's worried about right now. The market is worried about a Joe Biden, Kamala Harris administration that effectively just taxes everyone as much as it can and redistributes wealth. I mean, that is a serious worry. The other thing that the market is worried about is a constitutional crisis. Yeah. Right? Because both sides make it very clear that neither one wants to give in. And so if you don't have a seamless transition of power, I mean, we could be knocking on January 20th with a lot of problems going on. And I'll tell you, that's one thing the market definitely won't like.
Yeah, no, all very good points. Trish, thanks again for joining us. Appreciate your insight into this.
Always my pleasure.
Newsmax TV is now America's fastest growing cable news channel. We give you the real news you need. So subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. If you like this video, share it with your friends. Newsmax TV streams live on YouTube for free. Newsmax TV, real news for real people.